The Indiana Partnership for Inclusive Childcare Project, through the Indiana Association for Childcare Resource and Referral, serves to educate, support, and empower communities, families, and childcare providers to increase the availability of and access to developmentally appropriate, healthy, and safe childcare for all children. In this module, Renee Kinder discusses the partnership that facilitates the primary focus of the project. This service is available at no cost to any Indiana family, as well as any Indiana early care or education program, licensed or not.
I'm Renee Kinder, and I am the Indiana Partnership for Inclusive Child Care Program Director with the Indiana Association for Child Care Resource and Referral, which means I oversee the inclusion project throughout the state of Indiana. And in that project, we have 9 inclusion specialists, 1 in each of our child care resource and referral agencies throughout the state. And their role is to assist child care providers, families, and communities to include children with disabilities and extreme challenging behaviors. So in that position, what they might do is offer a child care provider on-site technical assistance if they're having a challenging time including a child who has a diagnosis or perhaps doesn't have a diagnosis yet, but the provider has a concern about. That on-site technical assistance happens only with parent consent. Our inclusion specialists never, ever, ever diagnose. That is not their role. If a parent or a provider has a concern about a child's development, then the inclusion specialist is going to work with that parent or provider to link them to the resources that they need, whether that's First Steps or the school system. I think a lot of times the child care provider comes at working with this child with one lens, and a early childhood interventionist or someone from the school system who's providing services, they come at it from kind of a different lens. And it's really important to marry those two, but a lot of times it takes that person in the middle to be able to help them do that. So the inclusion specialist can go in and really taking into account as well what the family wants and what the strengths of this child are as well, and really look at it as a whole system. What's working, what's not working, how do we make this child care, how do we help this child care provider maybe make some accommodations to be able to meet this child's needs better? How do we help the speech therapist, for example, understand what really goes on in an everyday child care setting, so that they can incorporate those goals into what goes on in that child's everyday life. Sometimes it's from a First Steps or school system person who's been able to work with us in the past to be able to go in and really just help whoever it is in order to help this child be successful. Our whole goal is to maintain placement for children and to help children be successful in the child care setting where they are. Several months ago when we were putting together a training, we were trying to come up with a visual for how all of these things work together. So we came up with the analogy of a 3-legged stool. So the top part is the child and the family. And then one leg is the service provider, whether that's First Steps or the school system. Another leg is the child care provider. And then in the middle is the inclusion specialist. And without those 3 legs, that stool falls over, which in this case, that means that family and that child really, they're not getting the services that they need. The other really important analogy with that stool is that all of those legs have to be the exact same length. If you have a stool that one leg is longer than the other, you got tipping going on. So everybody has equal power. Nobody is more important or less important in that dialogue with that family. The whole goal is to maintain and really help that family get that child's needs met.